Welcome to your Social Jack Weekly Influence Factory webcast. Introducing your coaches, Dean Delisle, Kate Hassett, and our guest for today, Joe Karns.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
Yo.
Welcome. Kate, are you on?
I am.
Oh, there you are. Okay, cool. Welcome. And we have a lot of new people in the audience today, so I want to give out a shout out and a welcome. And for those of you that are new, we would always gather here for weekly coaching, and it's no different. You can submit questions. You can send those in on the Social Jack platform for our members. And we always love to take questions. So we're going to go through a lot of cool stuff today. We're going to give you the lineup. And again, just want to welcome everybody. So our Social Jack Twitter handle is #GetSocialJack. And then hashtag Influence Factory. If you want to submit things, if you have a guest that you want us to have on, things like that, we'd love to hear from you. We've reformatted this because of you, and we're excited to have everybody on today. So again, a hearty welcome from us here to everybody out there. Remember to maximize your learning. You know, you sort of want to take your distraction device here, and we will instruct you from time to time to go to your phone as we're teaching you things. And we have a lot of people that are listening. Some people are listening on the podcast, so welcome. If you're on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, we're on a bunch of channels right now, and so we'll be excited to pick up those listeners as well. But maybe just turn this over for a minute as you're learning, and we want you to take plenty of notes. Whether you take notes, some of you might actually take notes in your phone. I know Kate's always doing that. And then we want you to take plenty of notes, because our goal here is for you to be a better influencer than when you arrived. So each and every week we're going to have special news that we're going to bring you. We're going to have special lessons from our influencer development program. And then we're going to have great guests like Joe Karns and different folks throughout the year that are going to come on. We're going to interview them, and we're going to learn from each and every person. So again, welcome. So those of you that are new, welcome. So how to engage with the GoToWebinar interface. The important thing here is that you can choose your audio preference. So you can load a mobile app for GoToWebinar if that works for you. If you're on your desktop, like I see many people are, you can have the computer audio for a phone call. You simply click on phone call, and a number and a code pops up, and you can call in. So Jimmy Z says, Joe is in the house. He gives you a shout out. So the question, we always like to ask a question, and we give out prizes at the end for the people that engage with us the most. So what we want is to make sure that you are engaging with us. So in the world today, who influences you? Who's your favorite influencer? We want you to type your answers into the questions area. And so, Kate, I'm going to ask you, out there in the world, who influences you? Who's your favorite influencer?
I think I say this every time we talk about it, but I love Ariana Huffington, the Huffington Post. I really like her. She focuses on a lot of women's issues, wellness overall, business. She kind of covers the spectrum. I really, really like her a lot.
Got it. Joe, how about you?
I don't know. It's hard to say. If it's like personal stuff, entertainment, I like the Next website. It usually has tons of cool tech stuff. If it's like learning new marketing things, Ryan Dice from Digital Marketer is one of the best, if not the very best. So I follow him a lot.
Yeah, cool. Jackson, how about you?
There's a lot, because I like Joe said, there's a bunch of people who are like YouTube influencers, people like that, people who have a giant following on YouTube. I listen to them all the time when it comes to entertainment things, but for news stuff, I don't know. There's just so many. I mean, I would have to probably say, I love my comedy, so going that route, it would probably be like Jimmy Fallon or like someone like that. So.
Yeah, super cool. So we have Ellen DeGeneres by Kate. We have, we have Ben Shapiro. We have, by Andy. We have, Seth Godin. That's who I really follow Seth Godin. So Bill Durkin's got Seth Godin. Let's see, Satya Nadella. Did I pronounce that right? Let's see, Simon Sinek, Stephen Colbert, my mother. That's awesome. And then everybody chimed in on Huffington Post. So a lot of people there with you. Joe, oh yeah, and Joe Polish. Is it Joe Polish or Joe Polish? I do like him. Yeah, thank you. So anyway, I have listened to him. So thank you everybody for chiming in. And Leonard said my 8-year-old son. Oh, and Mick Jagger. All right, so let's jump in. So super quick, just a shout out to our Social Jack members. If you want to be a member, all you have to do is go to socialjack.com, and there's a small monthly membership fee. Remember, members, that you have access to logging in and asking coaching questions. And we now have those lines monitored 5 days a week. So if you need help or anything, if you're like going to do some of the stuff that Joe's going to tell you how to be an influencer, you just log in and you can get coaching support there. We also have over 250 classes in there that you can take. And we have things that are uploaded, worksheets and things like that that are uploaded from all of our workshops. If you're not a member, welcome anyway. We love to have people into our community. So that's why we created the influencer factory here, so that everybody could come in through the factory. Don't forget, members, check your messages for discount codes. That will be in the messages box. And just a couple of announcements on training. So a lot of you attended our workshop here in Chicago and some of our other influence workshops. And we want to help you develop. So in this, what we've done is we have taken and broken up the workshop into pieces. So whatever piece applies to you, we want you to go there. So socialjackflash.com, write that down, socialjackflash.com. When you go there, you're going to see a selection of different classes. The first one is on 125. And if you want to take an extra 10% off, use SJ10. If you're listening to us on the air, SJ10, get an extra 10% off. And you can register for, let's see, on the 25th is personal branding and storytelling. On February 15th, it's building a powerful social network. And then on 3/8, it's how to be a business influencer and monetizing your network. So with that being said, don't forget, go to socialjackflash.com, use SJ10 if you want to get to those. And those are 2-hour classes, so you don't have to travel. They're all online. You get the recordings, you get the materials and everything else. So again, members, make sure you check yours for an additional 30%. Some of you with the premium membership, Premium Plus, get free classes. So make sure you use that discount code, of course. Okay, so real quick, Kate, do we have some news today?
Yeah, absolutely. Always have the news.
All right, so I'm going to make you presenter and let you show us the news. You go for it.
Awesome. All right. Can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So we're going to start out with mobile marketing tips for small businesses. You guys know that I absolutely love an infographic. So of course, if you are not watching, if you're getting the recording on a podcast version, you can check this out. The link will be in the email. But some really important things from this article that we want to touch on is mobile marketing. You know, every single year they say it's the year of mobile marketing, but I think this year bigger than ever before, because in 2018, they're saying 65.9% of the Earth's population owns a smartphone. I don't know how they get this statistic, because it's not just America, it is the Earth, but that is a ton of smartphone users. So when you're optimizing your website, when you're doing all that stuff for your business, you definitely want to make sure everything is mobile ready, because a lot of people are surfing on their phone, and I'm totally guilty. I will obviously always look at my phone when I'm on the train. That's where I do a lot of my browsing. So I think we all do it. Also, 57% of online traffic is from mobile devices. So one thing that you might or might not know is when you're looking at your website like this, you can actually check out the mobile view by just shrinking your tab. It's just a little trick. And so this is what it looks like mobily. Obviously, if you are just listening All you have to do is just literally make your browser smaller, and you can see what it looks like on mobile. So that's a really good trick to making sure it looks good on all platforms, because according to this article that we're going to link to, people will not look at your website or go to a competitor's if they can't easily view it on mobile. So just some good tricks, something to keep in mind when you're working on your website. Keep everything phone friendly. It's
Hey,
good
Kate.
stuff.
So
Yes.
Joe builds or oversees hundreds of our websites. I don't know, Joe, it may be in the thousands by now, who knows? And as we do this, I just didn't know if Joe had a comment, because he actually teaches us a lot of this stuff too in terms of doing this. Is there, anything to say? Because this is what's called a responsive site. And I always get confused between what do people see on their iPad, what do people see on their mobile? And I think clients get confused too, because we'll have them say, oh, my logo's in the wrong spot or something like that. And so they're looking at the mobile version of their site, or they have their, shrunk down. Joe, any comments on this?
No, yeah, that's a great tip. So making your browser window skinnier, you can definitely preview what the mobile version would look like. If you have an older site or any site that doesn't change shape when you make it really skinny, then you probably don't have a smartphone ready or mobile responsive website, and you should call someone like us.
There you go. Kate, what else you got for us?
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about Snapchat. Kind of interesting stuff, new data insights to Snapchat. We've seen them a lot in the news lately. I think we've talked about them, the last 3 weeks in a row, about when they've now made stories so you can include your website, so you can target your audience that way. But some new statistics are saying that Snapchat advertising might not be the way to go. 178 million daily active users on Snapchat, but a lot of them are just messaging. I'm trying to find the Discover picture right now. So a lot of people are posting on Discover to try to get their brand heard, but it turns out that they're not really using it for that. Discovery users are really, really low on Snapchat. So if you're looking to target your demographic on Snapchat, which of course is going to be a younger one, it's probably not the way to go. But we are seeing from other social platforms like Twitter, Facebook, they're all boosting engagement right now. So I'd like to think in the future, Snapchat will get on that bandwagon. But as of right now, it's probably not worth a lot of your time.
Got it. Well, that's interesting. And I think we're going to see more and more of this transition between Snapchat and, Instagram and Facebook. And a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't feel right for me for business. But again, it's where, one of the tips, and we're going to talk about this in literally 30 seconds, it's all about building your social team and your network, people that help you generate, get you to your destination, right?
Yep.
Right on. All right. Well, thank you guys. So let's, I'm going to cover a quick lesson here with Joe, and then we're going to get on to Joe, because it is Joe's time and we want to learn a ton from Joe. So thank you guys for jumping in with us, and we'll see you on the back end of this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so super quick. I'm not going to jump deep into lessons here. So most of you have taken our influencer workshop or our social selling courses. One of the things that's important about being an influencer, and Joe, we, we're, a lot of times we're about building content. You help us build content, but in terms of the journey of social selling or influencer development, becoming a bigger influencer, is having allies or people on your team, just like we're a team here at Social Jack and Forward Progress. And so as we do this, one of the most significant things when you're looking at platforms, and it gets overwhelming. People are like, oh my gosh, you talked about Snapchat. I'm not even doing my LinkedIn work. I'm not doing my Facebook work. I'm not doing, and so with you, we're going to talk about content and keywords and things like that. But I always want to make sure that we focus on the right people, as we target the right people in there. Any comments from your side as you're, as we look at websites, we look at things, we look at keywords, but, just give me your perspective, because you're always behind the scenes in the engine room looking at what everybody's clicking on, what everybody's typing. Anything you can share with us from that perspective of just the people side?
Well, keywords are very important, and a lot of folks don't even know where to begin, so maybe that's a good place to begin. So I always recommend asking yourself, if you don't know what should my keywords be, what do you do? And if you still don't know what to put, go to your website and go to your services page. That's what you do. So if you start with those keyword phrases, that's probably a good start. And then I usually just start Googling it, looking at the recommended keywords at the bottom, and that is totally free, totally available, and oftentimes even more accurate than the AdWords keyword planner tool, because those are showing you, when you just look at the keywords that show up on the bottom, the recommended ones in Google, those are the organic, most popular searched ones. When you use the keyword planning tool in AdWords, which a lot of people still do, I mean, that's really ranking them based on who's advertising for those, which might be the same or might not be the same.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And one of the things we say, which is the easiest thing to do, everybody. So when you guys are, and we're gonna dive into this in a minute. But one of the things that we say is there's two levels of keywords, and I'm going to get into this with Joe. But one is how you want to be known. So, you want your company name and you to be known, and we say those are your most important keywords. And then it's like, maybe you want to be known for influencer development, like we are. We're an influencer marketing, influencer development, but a lot of you might not know what even the heck that means. Well, you might want to be, you want to increase thought leadership. So we might index and find that the word thought leadership is a big word out there for, for you guys to type in, to be able to say, oh, well, you want to be an influencer and develop your influence. So there's almost this bridging that goes on. And Joe, I'm going to tease this up and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but I'd like to talk about you first, Joe. So you've been around the camp here for a while, and a lot of people know you. Kate was jumping in and goes, oh my gosh, he does great, great websites, and a lot of people have experienced the SEO and the PR campaigns and all the cool things you do on that side. I guess the thing is, you've been doing this for well over 10 years. You've been a webmaster to hundreds of our clients. You're a digital conversion specialist. That means when people land on the page, you know exactly like the science between getting them to fill something out. Mm-hmm. And then you almost worked at the CIA. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
It's one of the craziest stories ever. So when I was in college, I was really into like design, graphics, the beginnings of graphics and computers and stuff like that. And I worked really hard to get into the CIA internship. So the plan was, if I could get this, I'd move to Washington, be in this really cool job. So I actually was able to work for like a whole year in this application process and rank in the top 10% in the country to get this internship. And unfortunately, it happened to be in the fall of 2001, where I was supposed to move to Washington. When 9/11 happened, the Pentagon got hit by an airplane, and all of their programs like this went away. Everything got reprioritized, and unfortunately, that never happened.
That's crazy, man. You were like this close, and now you're like an amazing webmaster, SEO. I would say anybody that sleeps about as little as I do and learns something every day, I just got to give you kudos, because you're always coming to us with, I found this cool new thing. That was going to be my parentheses or your headline that I was going to, Joe, I found this cool new thing, Karns. And then you're lead guitar for a real rock band for over 18 years. What is that? Did that start early in life, or?
Yeah, I've played guitar since 5th grade, and started playing in an organized way in about 2000. Played some pretty big shows, played over 50 some venues in and around Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis, even out in Oklahoma, I think once. Anyway, I'm more focused in my free time of like recording other bands and on the production side of things and sound engineering more than actually playing out myself right now, but that's what happens when you get older.
Kate's like, and he's a rock star too. This is too much. All right, cool. All right, so as we're going to jump into some content here, the next episode coming up is featuring Spencer Smith, and the reason I jumped ahead to him, Joe, is he is the gentleman that started off with a garage band and wound up playing at what's that big fest in Wisconsin? The big music. Yeah, Summerfest. So he's going to tell that story next week. So I stayed in the garage with drum kit. I made it to a few basement parties, and we did 2 bar gigs, and that's about the extent of my musical career. So back on Google. So as we think about this, there's, so I think people get confused with, getting to the top of search and keywords and Google. So let's take it down to the basic element. Let's pretend that everybody on today wants to make sure that themselves first are known as an influencer. And so how do keywords play in or apply to individuals or people that want to be influencers?
Right. So this kind of goes back to our first point. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to optimize your website or a landing page about who you are or what you're offering, or your social media profiles like in LinkedIn. You want to have your keywords kind of consistent and make sure they are the very best that you want to be. So once you identify what you do, which should be pretty easy, hopefully, and then start Googling that and see what the other suggested variations of that, you could probably come up with about 10, maybe 15, maybe even 20, depending on how many different kinds of services or products that you have, those really top good keywords. And that, if you want to be an influencer in your field, which we all do, that's how you want to be found. So we always like to take those top keywords and put them in as skills on LinkedIn, bake them into the body content describing what you do on LinkedIn, maybe try to put one or two in your tagline in LinkedIn, anywhere you can, without it looking too spammy or forced, to try and get your social media profiles to rank high for those keyword phrases, as well as your website properties.
So really, it's the same principle as when we're providing SEO or indexing our pages.
Right.
So that's interesting. So, and again, I think a lot of people get sort of confused, because I'll notice that when we say, well, send your top 10 keywords, they'll send us a list. And even as much as we know about business or about businesses, sometimes we're scratching our head and going, well, who's actually searching for this, or how does it relate? So I think about the fact that how do we best determine which keywords to pick?
There's a variety of ways. So it usually ends up being a mashup of just initial knee-jerk reaction, what you think it should be. And once you type those into Google and you start seeing what the suggestions are, a lot of times light bulbs start going off like, oh yeah, that's obviously how people are searching for it, more so than what I thought. So there's the suggested results, which is what I call them in Google search, which it looks like you're pulling up now.
Yeah, well, actually, hold on. Let's ask the audience. So can everybody type in, if you could be known for one phrase or get found by one phrase, what would that one phrase be? We'll play with some of the audience things here. So we had somebody type in innovation. So, so we'll just use the word innovation.
I would be more specific.
Okay, so coach us on this, Joe. What would we coach us on that?
Usually in most fields, it has to be at least 2 words, because if it's too general, then Google just doesn't have enough to go on to recommend what you're looking for. So you don't need a super long tail keyword phrase that has like 7 words in it, but you probably shouldn't have one either, unless it's an industry where that literally can only mean one thing. So it might be business innovation. It might be marketing innovation. It might be food science innovation.
And James just put in innovation problem solving.
Okay.
So coaches, I pretend I'm James and I'm like, I want to be found for innovation problem solving. Does that make sense?
Scroll down to the bottom.
Okay. So we're scrolling down to the bottom for those of you on the phone, and we see a list of searches related to innovation problem solving. And those of you that are online can follow along. Andy's like, Andy, who's a client of ours, is like, I typed in Porsche expert and my company came up in organic as number 1. Nice job. All right. So on this one, it says examples of innovation solutions to problems. So what would you tell us what's your thought on this, Joe?
Well, I don't know enough about this user specific business or what they do to really know. This sounds a little too general still. So it may be correct, but only if this individual really truly is a consultant for people who could come to him with any kind of innovation you can imagine. If it's business innovation, if it's, you know, within a particular industry, I would use that industry word to start with so that these recommendations are more accurate and applicable.
Right. So, and so what I would suggest is for him to go talk to his clients or his prospects, and what I always say, and this is simple, write this down, folks. How would you look for me? You know, so ask, you know, you know, ask, you know, and actually Bill just put this in. So, you know, so ask your clients, what they're, you know, what, how they find you, how they look for you. So, let's play with one more here. So I have cyber compliance and solutions. So this one might be a little more concrete. Cyber. I'm gonna start with cyber compliance.
That's good.
Just break it down, right? Smallest. So cyber compliance, and we're just Googling this, folks. And so at the bottom of Google, now we have cybersecurity compliance standards, cybersecurity compliance program, cybersecurity compliance training. What is information security compliance? So then how do you make a choice? You know, what is the next step on this?
Right. So these are longer keywords. We call them long tail keywords. And these are usually pretty easy to get found for because they're longer. And some people don't like to focus on these because, like, well, it doesn't have enough search volume because only, you know, 100 people search for it per month, and I want ones that have 1,000 or higher. Well, if you have 10 or 15 or 20 of these longer ones and they each have 100 searches and they're easier to rank for, cumulatively you will get just as much traffic as, you know, spending thousands of dollars to try and go toe-to-toe against your biggest competitors or pay for AdWords or whatever for that one general one like the one you typed in, which is much more difficult to rank for. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't include that one if you want to have like a top 10, but usually you should, you know, identify that the short, very popular, widely used versions of your keywords, and then these longer tail versions as well. So it's just kind of common sense. Most of these look pretty applicable, just like I'm imagining if I was this company, but probably not ones with jobs, because obviously they're not probably offering jobs in this. They want to be found for the standards, the program, the security compliance, maybe training, probably not. So training and jobs I would omit.
Right. Right. So then, you know, and you know, how much of this falls into play now? So let's say, you know, we're like Bryant, we're in the cybersecurity space. I believe he offers consulting, you know, coaching, you know, projects for this to go into his clients, maybe some level of training. So when do you start determining that you're going to sort of patch words together and make these longer tail keywords?
Well, it's usually good to have identify what the competitive ones are. So if you start Googling like you did, and you start scanning down and seeing your big competitors, you're in the right place, because those
Right.
big competitors are probably spending a lot of money and have for many years to rank organically high for these keyword phrases. So even if you just kind of scan the titles of these, IT security and risk, IT security would be one, IT risk consulting would be one, IT security compliance would be one. So I usually just kind of look at these titles and come up with other keywords to swap in and come up with, you know, maybe 5, 10 variations.
Interesting. So as we discover, so does anybody have any specific questions related for Joe related to sort of how to figure out your keywords? Because, you know, again, this is, you know, a lot of times when we're doing this and we have accounts that come to us, we're spending a lot of time starting with what they believe their keyword should be. We ask questions like what Joe is talking about here, and then we have them talk to their clients and ask questions there. And that's also for clarity of message too. And you know, in some upcoming, we're going to have Mary Rodriguez on in a few weeks, and she's the chief storyteller for Microsoft. She's going to tell us about storytelling, but again, you want it so it's digestible to other people. And so this is where I always, you know, in the workshop, I'll say, well, put in your keyword of how you want to get found. And we have a lot of great examples here. And then I'm like, now what do your clients call it? There's like this parallel there seems to be. It's like, well, clients might say cybersecurity compliance, or they might say regulatory compliance in cybersecurity. They won't necessarily exactly say cyber compliance. So, Joe, in the content that we post, in the profiles that we build, is it really just population wins in this game? In terms of the more you repeat the phrase cyber compliance, cyber compliance, cyber compliance, and that's sort of the name of the easy name of the game, I guess.
It's a good place to start. Obviously, if there's a lot of competition, it's easy for anybody to put these keywords in. So if you have a pretty competitive space and there's other people doing this right, then there's no guarantee you can rank #1, but it's definitely a best practice to bake these keywords in as much as possible without looking too spammy. Right. And then we'll get into the next section when we talk about getting backlinks and other ways to rank high other than having good keyword phrases baked in.
Right. So a couple of questions coming in. If you are a common one word, if you are a common one word keyword, how do you increase that one word? Like, how do you know what to add to it?
It's a good question. The answer is no matter what industry you're in, you aren't really just a one word thing. So tell me what the one word is, and I'll give you like 20 variations off the top of my head.
Well, I think it's actually 2 words. I think she had gut health in here, but she has it as 1 word. I think that's 2 words, but maybe it's 1 word in the gut health and the health and wellness business.
Okay, so if that is truly this main focus of what all your services and products are around, I would Google that and see what exists around that. So it might be certain ailments. It might be a weight loss situation having to do with gut health. There might be very popular medications having to do with gut health. Those are all ways that people are searching for things around what you do. And if you start getting well known and become an influencer for all those different things, you start writing blog posts on different ways to remedy these ailments and things like that. That's how you can capture all these people around what you do.
Let's see. We have some people helping out here too. Holistic digestibles, digestion, and microbial supplements. Andy, where did you learn all this stuff? You're a car guy. That's awesome. So the other thing, Joe, I always wonder, because we've talked about this in the past, but not recently, as I typed in gut health, it has now gut health diet, and anxiety, depression, acne, food, supplements. Are these good indicators of popular results as well?
Absolutely. So that's just a kind of a continuation of what shows up on the bottom as like their final best guess. But typing things in here is an excellent way to get other, usually low-hanging fruit ideas. And I've seen some, keyword specialists even go like space A, backspace, space B, like put in just the first letter of the entire alphabet to see all the recommended ideas with your keyword phrase.
Interesting.
So right there, gut health companies. Who would have ever thought that people are searching for gut health companies? But they are. And if this individual is a gut health, specialist, gut health companies is a very likely a way that a lot of users are searching for their type of service.
Okay, so what I'm guessing as I'm going through this gets a little overwhelming because you have, you could wind up with 1,000 keyword and keyword phrases.
Right. So usually it's good to have that big robust list and then, put them on a spreadsheet or Word doc or just get out of Google then and just kind of stack rank them where you think, oh yeah, that's definitely me. Or, this one's going to bring up too many other things that aren't really me or what I do. So I'm going to ixnay that one. I'm going to put it at the bottom and just kind of stack rank what you come up with to come up with that really good top 10 or 15 ways.
Interesting. So that's sort of the keyword game. But, when you and I were talking earlier, you said there's really 3 sections to the science of this if you really want to get to the top of Google.
There is one more thing with this. So
go ahead.
A lot of users will try and use expensive keyword tools and software and stuff to come up with this stuff. All that software is really doing is exactly what we just did here. It's rooting out and using Google's API to figure out what these suggestions are. And you don't need to waste your money on things like that. Usually this is a great exercise that you could do totally for free, very easily. And the next step to find out just like the big elephant in the room ones is the old-fashioned Google AdWords keyword planner tool. So the little bit of value that tool still has is to just show you, okay, you copy and paste it in these 10, 15, 20, however many keyword phrases that you think are the good ones. Now Google will spit out in that tool, here is, okay, search volume for all of these that you put in, and then they'll recommend some other ones. So that's a way to get like the big, super popular general ones that should at least, be in the mix.
Yeah, that's excellent. And does it matter here that it says there's 75.9 million results that came up in 50.56 seconds?
There's so many websites out there. That's a decent barometer, but I don't take too much into that. Anything over 10, 20,000 is the same to me of 75 million.
Cool. So with that being said, is what I liked that I heard you say is that you can get ideas from your competitors. So make sure you heard. I want to make sure everybody writes that down. So get ideas from your competitors as you're Googling. Pay attention, because this can also help. How many people on with us like do podcasts like this, or you write articles, you do webcast, you're naming things in this space. Bryant, you're doing a cyber compliance, I think, event. Well, to get titles and things like that, you want to make sure that you're aware of what other people are naming things. So one thing that I like that you said, Joe, is a hot tip. If you're blogging or thinking about that, is typing in the keywords into Google, and you should see the most current relevant things pop up that could be titles, right? Yeah, cool. Okay, so as we're on the climb to the top of Google, what's the sort of the other parts of the formula here?
Right, so the main things are the keyword stuff that we just talked about, and there's even though Google's algorithm for SEO and ranking has changed a bazillion times over years, there's some things that just will never change, and that is having strong endorsements from very reputable websites. And so people know them as backlinks, but there's been this huge trend of just getting any kind of backlinks you can, and they end up looking very spammy and fake to Google. A lot of websites are getting penalized now, unindexed, taken off of Google search. Just, it's not worth it. And we all get the emails every day from the spammers saying, oh, I'll get you to the top of Google and we'll give you all these backlinks. You don't want those. So it really just takes 3 or 4 or 5 really good, strong backlinks from highly reputable websites, and your website will begin usually ranking for all of the great keywords that you've baked in, especially if they're longer tail ones like we looked at in the last exercise. So it's the keywords, it's strong backlinks from highly reputable websites, and the third thing is the Google reviews and having a business profile on Google.
Yeah, that's cool. So, and a lot of people, well, you hold a lot of weight in terms of people showing up on the map, right? The Google map up here. So what is the relevancy or the weight to that? Why is that important?
So no matter what Google's trying to do, at the end of the day, their main focus is to provide people searching with what they think is the most helpful information and the most legitimate information. So the great thing about the map
look at that, Joe. Influencer marketing company, Chicago. We're 1 and 2. Sorry, I didn't know that, folks. So just so you know, I'm excited.
Right. So we've been under a big rebranding thing over the last 6 to 12 months with this, and we didn't show up on the map at all for this keyword phrase. So we've been doing kind of our own strategy over the last months, and now we're on the map, which is great. So what's incredibly powerful about being on the map, and I'm sure a lot of people know this already, is you show up at the top almost every time, and sometimes even above the advertisements. And people pay a ton of money to have those ad slots. And so being able to get on the map for very cheap or free, depending on your industry, it's incredibly powerful. There's a statistic out there that in the law industry, if you're a legal, lawyer, whatever, one map spot in any major market, Chicago, New York, LA, San Diego, is worth $1 million per year in additional revenue. $1 million per year in additional revenue if you're a lawyer and you can get one of those map spots. So as you can probably imagine, that's fiercely competitive to get on the map. And a lot of marketing companies are still using old, dated strategies to get on there. And we've got some easier ways.
Yeah, so give us a couple of the tricks of getting on the map.
Right, so Google looks at trying to figure out, okay, who's searching in these local markets, because it's all about local when it comes to maps. If you search for a particular store or kind of store and you're in Chicago, you're not going to see stores come up on the map in Google results that are in New York. And that's because Google knows where you are, and it's always trying to show you the most nearby relevant results. So it has to do with verifying your address first and foremost. So you can't even get on the map until you verify your address with Google. And 9 times out of 10, that means creating your Google Business profile account. So if you just Google Business, it'll come up. Log in, create it, verify your address. And so you basically just type in your address, verify that, yep, this is me right here on the map. And then you'll press a button and Google will say, okay, we're going to send you this postcard with the code on it. That's how they verify who you are. And that step alone is why Google gives more weight to showing businesses on the map, sometimes above even ads or in all the organic results, is because remember, they want to show the most legitimate, real, verified results first, and that have the highest rating, which is the next thing. So if you think about all the backlinks people can get, you can get a bazillion backlinks and pay an SEO company $1 million to get you to the top of the organic results, but you still have never really verified your physical address. So that's why Google puts a lot of weight into these map spots, because all these businesses in the map have verified their address.
So if somebody wants, and actually Bill had mentioned, is it important to put like the local market word, like Chicago, in your content and in your profiles, if that's where you're focused on, is one market?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's funny. One of the lowest hanging fruit, easiest ways to rank is to not cheat, but maybe tweak the name of your company, or at least start calling your company your name of your company and what you do, like together in one thing. So you'll see here that we are.
Yeah, you did that for us here, right? Influencer marketing company, right? Oh,
right. And if you look at the name right there, it's Forward Progress Digital Marketing Agency. So a lot of times businesses say, well, this is my legal entity name, which is just one word or 2 words. So that's what I'm going to put as the business title. You can put in other words. Now, if it starts looking fake, Google can block it or try and verify it and suspend your account. So you don't want to push the limit and make it super long. But like with TisFit, we made hers like TisFit Personal Training. Sounds totally legit. That's exactly what she does. A lot of times she refers to herself that way. And by doing that, we've put that personal training phrase in the actual title. So now she's showing up on the map more often because it's very easy for Google to connect the dots and say, oh yeah, she's here. That person's nearby. They're looking for personal training. We're going to put her on the map.
And the same with Strazzeri Mancini, the law firm in San Diego, right? So same thing with elder law and estate planning and that sort of thing. We've sort of enhanced their look. One of the questions comes in, does Google still mail a postcard with a code to the address to verify?
9 times out of 10, yes. We have actually had 1 or 2 cases, and one was very recent, where the phone number used was somehow very well known that it had to be part of that location. It might have been like the main phone number for like the whole business building or something. So in that case, they actually let the business be verified by phone instead of actually mailing the postcard. But 9 times out of 10, the postcard's got to come.
All right. Tanya sends in, we have a business profile, but also 2 Google Plus pages, and they don't all connect. Should I delete the Google Plus pages?
Usually it's not ever good to totally delete something. It's like closing an old credit card you don't use anymore on your credit report. So it's helping you, even if it's in a tiny way, it's probably still helping you as long as you have, it's pointing to your website. You post to it once in a blue moon and those posts come back to your website. What you should do is get at least one Google Plus profile that is in sync and does match the business name, the keyword phrases. Post to it once in a while at least. That links back to your main website.
Yeah, what's interesting, Glenn asks, what if I never get the card from Google?
And talk to the person in the mailroom. We've lost. I mean, we've been in big buildings and someone has misplaced them a number of times. If it doesn't come within 5 business days, it's lost somewhere, and you can just log back into your account, click the button that says send it again, and they'll mail it again. You can put like someone's attention on them now, so they realize that a lot of these big office buildings might have 100 units, and so you could put attention Dean Delisle, or attention the lady at the front desk, or whatever that might be.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Joe. How many have I lost?
I can't count.
Poor Joe would send it to me, and then all of a sudden, he'd be, hey, did you ever get that Google card? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I threw it out. Because honestly, it comes, and sometimes it looks like when they give you those $50 gift card from Google for advertising and things like that. So it can easily be, and I would just reapply. Isn't that what you did? You just went in and pushed
the button again.
Yeah.
So one question we get a lot is, well, I work from home. Do I have to put my home address on there, which a lot of people don't like to display online? And the answer is you can if you're comfortable with that. But another route is to just get, mailboxes, etc., something at the UPS store, whatever the cheapest mailbox is, and use that address as your business address. Now, some mailbox places may not like to be overloaded with these things coming, but the ones that I've used in the past and other people have used in the past works totally great. And that business does show up now, even on local search and map for these things. And 9 times out of 10, they just press the website button and you end up getting website traffic from it.
Yeah, for sure. So in the few minutes that we have left, so we've talked about the importance of keywords, making sure they're in all your profiles, websites, making sure that it's in your content, right? So it should be in your content. So anything you're doing, Jimmy Z said, I'm going to go here. So we talked about getting on the map, filling out your card and your profile and things like that. What about getting backlinks? What is the best way?
So
what is a backlink? Just so we can.
It's where there's a link to your website from another website. So you actually just listing your website URL in your Twitter account, that shows up, and that's a backlink pointing to your website. But you have to think to yourself, how easy is it for other people to get this? Well, it's very easy because all you need is a Twitter account. So the more difficult it is to get, and the more specific it is to your industry, and the more reputable and high ranking that website is, the stronger it's going to boost your website. It's no different than getting an old-fashioned referral from somebody or a recommendation from someone. If you've got Bill Gates saying Dean's the best in the world, do business with Dean, that's going to hold a lot of weight because it's Bill Gates saying that. So it's no different than a website. So where I like to usually start is say, okay, if you're a business, who do you do business with? What partners do you have, or what vendors do you have that are big and powerful that can point to you? So I know a tech company, and they are partnered now, and they've worked super hard to get certified by VMware. VMware is a huge tech company. So they now show up on VMware's partner page pointing to their website. So not only are they getting obviously some leads from that, but Google sees that backlink, this big powerful tech company pointing to the very small tech company based in Chicago, as a huge benefit, huge like recommendation or validation of like, wow, that's really strong. So now that's ranking higher. So I'd start with who your partners are. Once you're beyond that, hopefully you got 1 or 2 good backlinks from that. We go to the next tier. And again, things have changed a lot. A lot of websites where it was okay to get backlinks from now, Google doesn't like because they look really spammy, or that website that you were on now has a bazillion outbound backlinks, so it's been completely de-indexed from search. So we've been focusing on where are the most reputable websites that we can get ranked on and get clients ranked on for the least amount of money. And that has proven to be over and over these press releases.
Yeah, we're doing this with a lot of, whenever we launch an influencer, a lot of you we've launched as influencers or we're launching your company, we'll do these SEO press releases. And if you just go to our website under services, you can hear more about it. But really what it's doing, and Joe, I've just been blown away by the results. I was looking at the Google search, and if you type in influencer marketing company in Chicago, the suggested searches are Forward Progress and Social Check.
Wow, I didn't see that at the bottom.
I know, and I think that's because and so what this does is when we do these press releases, they're really SEO. And so they put your name in the news, so you can say, hey, we've been on ABC, CBS, all the news stations pick them up, a minimum of 200, and some of them have gone over 400 depending on the news. And then what happens is all those news sites are pointing back to that website. So first thing, you need a good website because you don't want to pay for all that traffic and eyeballs. But if you're looking to climb to the top, the combination of content like blogs, podcasts, papers, PDFs, things like that, and then making sure that you put your website on everything and point everything back to your website. I think Andy did a good job. He was recently on a podcast and published somewhere else, and always made sure that MidwestPerformanceCars.com was pointing back to that, pointing back to that main website of his.
Right. So the press release does at least 3 big things for you when crafted just right, like we do it. Is you get your message out there, which is the obvious part. You get to say that you're on these big news affiliate sites, which is the obvious part. But crafting the article in such a way and leveraging the 3 allowable backlinks, you can only put 3 in there, to be the keyword phrases that you want to be found for, and also using like usually a little bit longer versions of them, so you're almost guaranteed to rank on page 1. So it kind of depends on how you want to structure these. We do some where a client wants to just try it out and they can only do 1. They can only afford 1. So in that case, we would recommend using a little bit longer keyword phrases so you can get the maximum benefit and lift out of just that 1 press release. The better way to do it is treat it more like an SEO service where you want to do 1, 2, however many per month on an ongoing basis. So every single month you've got more really powerful backlinks being created, and each time with different ideal keyword phrases that point back to your site. So you get the strong backlinks on these really high authority websites. So when Google sees these, usually if you did this with anything else, you'd be penalized if 400 backlinks show up in one day, all pointing to your website properties. But Google sees that these are on news sites, and they know it's totally normal for a press release to be posted on all these at one time. So not only is there no penalty for that, but it's an incredible, like almost immediate gratification where usually with just in 1 or 2 days, we start seeing, the rankings get higher and higher.
Got it. Okay, so we're coming up on time. I'm going to take a couple more questions here. And folks, while we're doing this, Jackson's going to be picking who the most engaged person was with us today, and we'll give out some 2 Starbucks gift cards. So I'm going to go ahead and launch a couple of these questions. And Joe, while I'm doing this, Kent asked a really good question. Should we have the whole website scrubbed? Should we have the whole website scrubbed and repaired by professionals like us first before trying any of this, like getting to the top of Google? So is it like where you could just be conscious and start doing things now, like on the SEO side, and then maybe climb to working on the website? What's the best way to do that?
Right. It kind of depends. There are some easy tools to use that are free if your website is built in WordPress. So I guess if your site's built in WordPress already, you can install a plugin like Yoast SEO, Y-O-A-S-T, Yoast SEO. It's free. They do have premium versions, but even with just the free one, you can then look at each page in your edit view, and it'll say, okay, this is what you want to be found for, or this is the keyword focus for this page. Here's how you're doing. And it's almost like a coaching tool. Now, there are more sophisticated plugins like SEO Presser and stuff that we use that'll really help you optimize each page, but that's a great place to start, just to get a state of the union on where your site is if you have a WordPress site. If you don't have a WordPress site, there are maybe some scanning tools that are free out there, but it's hard to say without seeing your site. I mean, if it's relatively new, if it's, you built in the last 10 years, it probably should be pretty good. And as long as, you're coming up for some of your top stuff, and it looks like you've got at least a good amount of your ideal keywords baked in already, and you can jump right to, blogging, creating posts. Another great tip, that when we looked at that last example, there was a couple questions showing up at the bottom down there of
okay.
It was the IT security one. So if you ever see a question in the popular results down there, write a blog post with that exact title and answer the question.
That's awesome. Did you guys catch that? Write a blog post. Okay, so I'm going to take one more question here. I've got one more poll. So you guys know we have an influencer development program, no secret there. So, it's a 90-day program if you want us to make you an influencer. We have flash classes coming up. We have press release service that Joe was talking about to jump you to the top of Google, or we have monthly social media and other stuff. If you want to talk to any of our folks about it, it helps us produce these shows and everything else and pay the bills as we work hard. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. Joe, Jimmy Z had a great question. How about events listings in newspaper, local events, calendars for a backlink? So, I guess what I'm hearing here is there's like meetup groups, and there's actually free listings for events. And even if you use I would say use the keywords and events, but do you think those help to use as backlinks?
It depends if it has it has to have an online version, obviously. So being in a print newspaper is not necessarily going to guarantee that publication has an online equivalent where they have that backlink. So first you have to verify that it's actually online somewhere and that it's on a page that has a direct URL. So if that's the case, it should help. But a lot of those have figured out that a lot of people may want to abuse it, or just put spammy links on there, or use them for backlinks and not have high value. So a lot of them may be making those what are called no follow links.
Got it.
Which means that even though you have a backlink there, you're not getting any Google love for that.
Got it. For sure. Okay. Wow. Looks like over half of you have clicked on the polling screen. So appreciate that. We'll follow up with you on those. And obviously, you know how to find us. Real quick, Jackson, you want to jump on and announce the winner here real quick as we close out?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you, man.
Awesome. So the most engaged was Kate Bosum.
There you go, from Child's Voice. Look at that, and actually, it's an amazing. Kate, you'll get a gift card, a Starbucks gift card. The most important thing, folks, is on this engagement. So the reason we do this is because the secret to influence, the secret to really effective building a community and being a good influencer is to generate engagement. Everything Joe has told you only matters if people click on stuff. And then when they click on stuff, are you engaging with them when they get to the destination, when they get to the website? So we'll cover that in some other lessons. But I just want to thank Joe for all of his wisdom, his commitment to all of our clients and to the company here. So thank you, Joe, for everything that you do for us. And thanks, Jackson, for the whole production team. And Kate is back there on social media responding and helping with everybody on there. So I just want to thank everybody on that side. And don't forget, next week, we're going to have Spencer Smith. Spencer is amazing. He also plays in the digital marketing space and is going to have a ton of cool things to share. And we'll get to hear his journey of influence, which is pretty cool as well. So,
also,
we
have the cheat sheet which shows the top ways to optimize your blog post or web page. And so we'll have that as a link as well.
Oh yeah, cool. And then we'll actually, and all members, remember all those documents are in the Social Jack Resource Center. So before we go, what is one thing that you guys learned today and you're going to take with you? That is our commitment that you always take one thing, and when you leave, you put it into action. Give us that one thing real quick. You know, 60 seconds. We'll see how fast people can type. What is the one thing? There we go. So let's see. Google Maps. I'm gonna send in my postcard again to Google. So that seems to be a good one. Yeah, got to get it done, right? And let's see. I'm gonna work on my keywords. So a lot of people working on keywords. That's good. Let's see. They signed up for the class, so that's good. So we always love when people sign up for the flash classes on personal branding and storytelling. Working through everything is verified. And James is like getting the postcard, so that's funny. So yep, and SEO, they picked up a lot of good tips on the tools. So we'll put notes in here. Remember, Jackson, where are we at? We're on YouTube, we're on iTunes, Google Play, where else?
On our site, the app at .socialjack.com, and that's in our resource center. And if you aren't registered, I will put the link to register in the chat section.
All right, cool. So so once you're a member, you can have full access to all the content. And I think we're on SoundCloud too, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, plenty of ways to access your content. Joe, thank you again for helping us climb to the top of Google in 2018. And from all of us here at Social Jack headquarters, we will see you online climbing to the top. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.